You're listening to The Drew Yari Show.
That's the wine and diner with kings and queens.
You're looking at the man. You're listening to The Drew Yari Show.
Well, it's Thursday, June the 25th. We're not live. We're just doing a pre-record. I just didn't feel like doing a live show today. I had I don't know about a busy day, but there were some things I had to do during the day. I had to take my girl to work earlier. She wanted 3. I needed the phone because I needed to go buy my sister-in-law a birthday present. Because here's the thing: me and my girl's anniversary is tomorrow, or 8-year anniversary is tomorrow, and then literally the day after is her sister's birthday, which is crazy. So I just went to the mall and got her some stuff. I wasn't able to get her something that I know she wanted. Or here's the thing: something that I knew she would have liked, but she didn't know she wanted. And it wasn't in her size. It was this Dragon Ball Z Vegeta hoodie. It wasn't in her size. They only had medium and small. So I was a little bummed out about that. I mean, I knew she would have liked it. I know she's gonna like what I got her anyway. She's an anime fan. You know, she loves Dragon Ball Z. She loves Naruto and shit like that. So I just got her some anime stuff. So there's that. And then just. I guess you want to call it putting in hours on Last of Us 2. So I played a little earlier, and then I played for about 3 hours when I came home. So, the game is just, I don't know why, but the game is just not getting a lot of recognition. It's not really getting a lot of praise. I have no idea why. It had a really low user score. It had a good critic score, but it had a very bad user score. Let me look at it right now. 94% on Metacritic, and 40% of Google users like this game. I don't know why. I really don't know why, because I haven't finished the game yet. I thought I was at the end, and then here's what the game does, where I can see where a lot of people I might be seeing where people are coming from. It suffers from sequelitis, where I like the game, it's good. I mean, I look forward to playing it. I mean, I don't have to feel like I have to play it. I play it because I want to. It's good. It's not as good as the first one. The first one was a classic. We'll just put it like that. The first one was a classic. This one does suffer from sequelitis. I'm not going to spoil anything for you, but it tends to do what a lot of, I don't know if too many other video games do this. I know movies do this, where in the sequel, when the first movie is very, very good, it starts to not just focus on the main characters, but it starts to focus on other characters and then tell their story. And then eventually those stories end up meeting in the middle. To which I'm just like, I get it. And it's, if you guys, watch my videos on YouTube, because I stream it live on YouTube and then it automatically uploads to YouTube. That part is starting to kind of get on my nerves. The whole thing with, hey, let's focus on this character. This is going to be about the main character, but we're going to show you why the other character is, acts the way they act. And I'm just like, do I really care, though? At first, it was starting to get boring. It was starting to lag a lot. And then it started to pick up a little bit to where I was supposed to, well, not supposed to, but I was at a point where I'm like, all right, I'm going to cut off because it's starting to get boring. And then it started to pick up a little bit. So I'm just like, okay, all right, so I'll just play for a little bit. But again, I like the game. I don't know why a lot of other people don't like it. I haven't finished it. I haven't watched any reviews. I haven't watched Jeremy Johns' review. Shout out to Jeremy Johns. He's a YouTuber who reviews mostly movies. He'll review video games. He'll review TV shows. So he's reviewed this. I haven't seen his review yet. So I don't know how he thinks. I don't know how Tyrone Magnus thinks. I'm another YouTuber. Big fan of his. Shout out to him. So I don't know. I'm really trying to stay away from spoilers. It's hard. Luckily, there's not too many people trying to spoil it because there was that spoiler thing that came out before the game even came out. But as I'm getting on Twitter, anytime I see anything Last of Us, related, I immediately scroll up. As soon as I even see Ellie's forehead, I'll just fucking scroll up because it's like, nope, I want to find out what the fuck happens at the end. So, it's a good game. If you want to play it, you should play it. Don't really pay attention to what the critics think. I mean, not critics, but the users. So, again, that's just weird because I don't remember too many games that have got where the critics loved it and fans hated it. So I don't know what the issue is. And then apparently I saw this thing. I didn't click on it, but the fans want the game to be remade. Like they want them to redo the game because they really hate the game that much. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. The only thing that matters is that I like it. Granted, it's not as good as the first one. It's nowhere near as good as the first one. The first one was epic. This one's good. So again, that's just my opinion. If you want to play it, I say you should play it. Alright, so didn't really finish NXT last night. So far NXT was good last night. I'm at the point where anytime Cross comes on, of course, I gotta watch it. I gotta see Cross. He had a match against who was the big guy? Like the big dude. I'm blanking on a name. Let me look it up. Let me look up the highlights. So NXT highlights. NXT highlights. Oh yeah, Bronson Reed. There you go. That's his name, Bronson Reed. It was an interesting matchup. Here's the thing I like about Cross's matches especially the matches that are quote unquote a little bit more high profile, is they're not competitive, but they're not squashes. They're dominant wins because his match against Ciampa was dominant. Like he owned Ciampa for the most part, and then Ciampa got his offense in, and then Cross in the end eventually just won. He just won. He took advantage of the match. Same thing with Reed. He had an interesting matchup against Reed because Reed's another big guy who went in there and put some offense in against Cross, but in the end Cross just ended up winning. So I like that they're pushing Cross like that. By the way it looks like his next feud is going to be against Keith, where here's what I thought, because I didn't watch the main event. I was tired. I had a headache yesterday. It was a pretty emotional day yesterday, which I don't know if I guess I'll talk about it. So before all that, yesterday I went to go visit my parents because I didn't get to see my dad on Father's Day because schedules didn't work. I had to work at 3, and they got back from a trip around 1. So where they live, it would have taken me at least half an hour to get there, and it would have taken longer to get to work. So I wasn't able to see him on Father's Day. I went on Wednesday because I'm always off Wednesdays. As a matter of fact, I'm off 4 days this week, Wednesday through Saturday. So I went to go see my parents, hung out with them. My dad actually cooked me. He made me chicken, which was probably the best chicken I've had. he really cooked it. He put some good seasoning on it. I don't know how he made it, but he made it. It was fucking awesome. My mom had mentioned my dad had made a trip to Mississippi. You know, like literally drove all the way from here to Mississippi and drove back. And they had mentioned, or my mom mentioned, that they wanted to go get tested for COVID because they had went to a friend's house, and that particular friend had a son who had tested positive for it, so that's when they went to go get tested. Luckily, they came out negative. My dad went to go to the garage to get something. When my mom immediately turned over to me, and she said, you know, whenever they went to go get tested, you know, when you get tested, they ask you, like, information, like your date of birth, blah, blah, blah. My dad couldn't remember his date of birth. He can remember the year and the month. He couldn't remember the exact day. And my mom said lately he's been forgetting things. Like, he'll forget what he talked about. He'll forget what he was supposed to do. She chalks it up to that it might be due to the fact that he's overworking himself. That he's out there doing yard work when he shouldn't be doing yard work. So she just said, you know, if you're ever available, just call him and say, hey, you need me to do something for you. Which I'll do that in a heartbeat. Which he should be calling me. I told my dad a long time ago, you should be calling me. If you need something done, if you want me to help you out with something, you should call me. You know, just don't be too proud to call me. I'll answer. So he knows I'll help him. I don't know why he doesn't call me. So, but he also expects me to call him. It's just like, dude, how do I know if you need help? You need to call me. But at the same time, I get it. It's kind of like was it Donatello or I think Donatello in Secret of the Ooze. He's right. You're both right. So immediately when my mom told me that, I just panicked. It was a pretty emotional day because my dad's 66. He's getting up there. My mom's, you know, not too far behind. So you never want that. You think of your parents. Oh fuck. Let me take 5, alright? Whew. So I didn't watch NXT. The point is, I did not watch NXT. But what I did watch was alright, so Cameron Grimes versus Damian Priest. That I watched. The beginning of the show was Cameron Grimes blindsided Damian Priest by beating the shit out of him and I guess slamming the car door on his head. So they had their match. Damian Priest was selling the fact that he got beat up. Grimes ended up, you know, picking up the win. His cave-in, which I think that's an interesting move. That looks like a move that you wouldn't have a hard time doing with anyone. It seems like a move that it doesn't. I mean, it obviously takes strength, but it's not like a power bomb. You can only do it on certain people. You know, I don't know how to chalk out to, but it looks like an easy move. It's an interesting move. It's kind of like that backbreaker that Carlito used to do. So yeah, Grimes that did it. Jake Atlas versus Santos Escobar. Right there, showing last week when Escobar took out Drake Maverick. Jake Atlas they showed Jake Atlas telling Drake Maverick while he was being wheeled on his gurney into the back of the ambulance. You know, I'll take care of him. You know, I got your back. I'm going to get you. So him and Escobar had their match. Escobar hit the finisher to score another victory. Again, I was watching NXT. I was kind of fading in and out. Again, rough day yesterday. I'm not going to really get too much back into it. So yeah, Caden Carter versus Caden Carter and Casey Catanzaro versus Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Again, this I was kind of fading back and forth in. Dakota Kai ends up tapping out. Who the fuck does she? She ends up making Carter submit. Karrion Kross versus Bronson Reed. That's the match I did watch. Like I mentioned, it was good back and forth. They didn't try to make Bronson Reed look too bad. Again, it was just a dominant win all around for Kross. Bronson Reed got in his offense, but Kross never got knocked down. He never knocked Kross off of his feet. So he eventually Kross just put him in the cross-jacket submission. Again, for Kross, I would prefer he do a different move. I mean, yeah, the cross-jacket's okay. I mean, it's a nice move. Calling it the cross-jacket's pretty cool. But I don't know, for him, maybe like a tombstone pile driver. I mean, I think he can do it. Maybe with Taker retired, he can get Taker's permission. I wouldn't be surprised if Taker liked Kross. Like if he met Kross and liked him and thought, this kid could take my spot as a locker room leader. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Kross with the tombstone, that would be pretty interesting. I like that. So let's see. You got Aaliyah versus Rhea Ripley. There was a backstage segment, more like an outside segment where Rhea Ripley was talking about EO, and then Robert Stone came up and pleaded that she signed with him. She ends up throwing him in the trash, literally in the trash, in a dumpster. Aaliyah comes out and smacks her, and then Rhea just looks at her and goes, "Welcome, you're going to come to my ring. You're going to meet my ring." So, they have a match. There's a point where Rhea puts Aaliyah in her submission. Robert Stone throws a shoe at her. Really, who throws a shoe, honestly? Which, wouldn't that be disqualification? Because wouldn't a shoe count as a weapon? I don't know, whatever. So, Rhea chases after Robert Stone. Aaliyah tries to go for a pin. It fails. And then Rhea just gives her Riptide for the win. I mean, Aaliyah, the more and more I watch her, she's not that bad. She's actually very good. She's a whole lot better than most of the other girls on the main roster, that's for sure. She's a lot better than the Iconics, Alexa Bliss, which I know you're not supposed to say that, but fuck it. It's my show, who cares? Carmella, that's for sure. So, I don't get why... She's apparently been down there for a while. I don't know. This match I didn't watch. Dexter Lumis versus Roderick Strong. So who won the match? I'm on Bleacher Report, and I'm just reading how the match went. So apparently Lumis stood completely still for at least 2 minutes while the master of the backbreaker fought an internal battle. Lumis grew tired of waiting and began following Roddy around the ring. He ran away while the ref counted him out to give Lumis the easiest win of his career. As Fish yelled for Strong to come back, Lumis attacked him with a submission and the segment. So apparently it wasn't really a match. So I'm assuming they're going to continue this whole thing with Lumis and the Undisputed Era, mainly Roderick Strong. What do you guys think about Dexter Lumis? At first I wasn't understanding the gimmick. Now I do. I mean, John Draper. Shout out to John Draper and Brian J, another good friend of mine. They just did a show yesterday on his podcast, the Wrestling Reanimated, and I haven't listened to it yet. I'm pretty sure it's going to be awesome. So, John Draper said the gimmick's basically just supposed to be the show Dexter. Like, that's pretty much what he just made it very simple. He's supposed to be like a serial killer, stalker, creepy psycho gimmick. And they got the main event, Keith Lee versus Balor versus Gargano. Unfortunately, I didn't watch the main event. I should have, because I feeling this was going to be fun to watch. Lee walked away, so whoever the winner of this match, they're going to end up facing Adam Cole in 2 weeks for the NXT Championship, where in that match should be winner take all. You know, whoever, whether you're the North American champion or the NXT champion, you'll walk away with both titles. So I feel bad because I didn't watch the match. I should have, but like I said before, it's a long day yesterday, so had a headache. So you got Keith Lee versus Adam Cole in 2 weeks, which is the week after 4th of July. Which 4th of July is on a Saturday, which is actually my girl's birthday, believe it or not. So yeah, that's July 8th, and I don't know how that match is going to play out. It could play out in 2 ways. Cross is probably going to cost Keith the match, so that way they can start their feud. And that way Adam Cole can walk around and be like, I got 2 belts, baby! Or Keith Lee will end up winning the match. One thing that does come into play is Adam Cole's contract with WWE, which I don't read too much into it because I believe he'll sign back. There's no chance. I don't think there's no chance in hell Adam Cole will go to AEW. A lot of people want to say, "Oh, his girlfriend's there. A lot of his friends are there." That's another thing that could also work against AEW because of all the scandals that are going against a lot of guys in AEW or friends of AEW, which we'll get into in a minute. So the way I look at it, they gave him the title for over a year. They gave him his own faction. They're treating him like he's the next coming of Jesus. And I like Adam Cole. I'm not trying to shit on Adam Cole or not. I really do like him. But I doubt he's going to leave WWE. But I'm not trying to say that's a thing that'll come into play. It might or might not be. But now's the time to kind of end his streak, because he's pretty much run through everybody in NXT. He's already beat Gargano. He's beat Ciampa. Who else has he beat? Dream, which another guy we'll talk about in a bit. Ish. So it looked like they were trying to build up him and Adam Cole. He hasn't beat Keith Lee yet, so I would imagine if anyone's going to beat him, it's Cross. But at this point, I don't know. He's beat Finn too. So I don't know who he's gonna face. I mean, I don't know who he's gonna drop it to. It would be big if Keith Lee ended up winning. That would be huge if Keith Lee were to stop his streak. Because Keith Lee's they've been building him as the second biggest star in NXT. Because his momentum started to rise at Survivor Series when it came down to him and Roman in front of a pretty hot Chicago crowd. This was Chicago, I believe. And then he was in the Rumble against Brock, and he did pretty well there. And then he became the North American champion. So it wouldn't be bad if Keith Lee won as a double champion. But I wouldn't put it past the company to say, hey, let's give Adam Cole 2 belts. Which, that wouldn't be a bad thing either. But at the same time, it would kind of take me out of it, like, so why does Adam Cole need 2 belts? It's... At the end of the day, you can shit on me all you want for saying this. Wrestling is still a TV show. These are characters. These are fictional characters. These guys, most of these guys, I say most of these guys, are not like this in real life. For a character like Adam Cole, why does he need to be champion or need to be North American champion? What does he gain from it? Like, what's it going to mean to him to be a double champion? Because if you remember, Adam Cole's the first ever North American champion. For Keith Lee, it means more for him to be a double champion, for him to be an NXT World Champion. And to be put in that feud against Cross, like that's a hot feud. I don't know about automatically putting Cross in the world title feud. Like, he's already over as fuck. Like, he so far has the best entrance, maybe in the whole business. And he's over his fucking NXT. His merch is selling. And people are already digging his that hourglass. And I don't just mean Scarlet. Zing. But it I don't know what's gonna happen, and I like that. I don't know. So, if I had to guess, I would say Cross is gonna end up costing Keith the match. Maybe not actually physically come out. Maybe Scarlett's gonna somehow distract him. I don't know. Again, I really don't know. So we'll see. We're about to find out in 2 weeks. AEW I didn't watch. So, yeah. So that was a pretty short review. But the ratings came out, and NXT actually won. They won this week. Let's pull them up. Let's see. All right, you got NXT drew 786,000 viewers, while AEW ended up drawing 633,000 viewers. Let's see. Let's look at this. See, Dynamite still beat NXT in the 18 of 49 demo. NXT topping the blah blah blah, garnered by Dynamite on blah blah blah. Yeah, NXT won this week, which that was, again, pretty surprising, because I can see why people like AEW. I think AEW is produced a little bit better than NXT, and there's also that big crowd feel. Well, at the moment, no, but when you watch AEW, it seems like it's a big crowd feel. NXT, you watch it, it almost seems like you're watching an independent film. So, I've been saying this, I've been saying this till I'm blue in the face. Whenever, audiences, fans are able to come back, which at this point it might be a little bit more further down the road. NXT needs to consider going on the road. NXT needs to consider getting out of Full Sail. They need to consider going into arenas, smaller stadiums. I mean, not too big arenas, but smaller arenas. I gave the example in San Antonio here. The AT&T Center is where they do the pay-per-views, Raw and SmackDown. The second where they do house shows is at the Freeman Coliseum. They should consider, doing NXT at the Freeman Coliseum. You know what I mean? And another example is they had NXT take over San Antonio back in 2017 at the Freeman. Freeman is like, you could be sitting all the way at the top, and you still feel like you're close. So, and I've never been there. It's a nice little arena. So, do that. Pick smaller arenas, but not to the point where literally just get out of Full Sail. That's really all I need to say. Whenever all this shit's over, consider moving out of Full Sail, going to bigger arenas. So, there's that. Again, did not watch AEW. I usually watch AEW after the live feed of NXT. But I don't know. I guess I'll watch it. It's on my DVR. I'll get around to watching it. The good thing about DVR, the good thing about YouTube TV and DVR in general is that you can just fast forward through all the shit you don't like, which in AEW's case. But yeah, AEW. The drama surrounding AEW is you got Sammy Guevara, who is suspended without pay until further notice. He appeared on a podcast 4 years ago where, I don't have the quote in front of me, but he made a joke about Sasha Banks saying that he wanted to rape her. Like, not say, she's so hot, I want to fuck the shit out of her. I want to blah, blah, blah. No, he literally said, man, I just want to rape her. I don't know many people in my life, many male friends, that have ever said they want to rape a girl. Like, I've been around guys that said, she's so hot, I want to fuck her. I want to bang her. And I'm not gonna try and be innocent. I've said stuff like that before. I've never once said or heard really a lot of people say that they want to rape a girl. It was a dumb joke. It was stupid. It was stupid on Sammy's part. To his credit, he not only apologized for it and owned up to it, but he actually contacted Sasha, herself, and explained the situation and apologized, and she actually accepted his apology. She posted on her Twitter saying, I forgive him. So, I don't know, maybe all is right, but not just try and defend him, it's a shame for him because, it looked like his star was rising in AEW, and then just a stupid thing he said in his past just came up and bit him in the ass, and deservingly so. He got in trouble. I don't know if he should get fired, get suspended without pay. Maybe that fits the crime. I don't know, but it's not looking good for AEW. It's not looking good for the elite of AEW. Another example, Jimmy Havoc, who I've never been a fan of, came out. This is literally all last week when Speaking Out started getting some notoriety. An ex-girlfriend of his, said that he was very emotionally and physically abusive, and he was also abusing himself. So AEW decides to, I don't know if they suspended him, but they sent him to go get psychiatric care. To which, that, in my opinion, that seems like a situation where he should have gotten fired. And I say that because with AEW, they've always likened themselves as being this very progressively leaning company that's all about, other people's rights, gender equality, blah, blah, blah. And then this shit happens, and it's like, we're going to go send him to get psychiatrically tested. It's like, I think you should fire him. Because at the end of the day, if you try to bring him back, you're going to have a lot of that negative press. You're going to have a lot of people saying, well, he's a woman abuser. That's the one stigma he's going to have on him, is that he's a woman abuser. I mean, he's obviously a guy that needs help. And forgetting the abuse, my cat is meowing at my door for whatever reason. I'm not letting you in my room. This insane cat. The bathroom door is open. Why do you need to come in here? Hold on. What? Are you hungry? I swear. It's rolling. What the fuck? Alright, sorry about that. I'm home. My cat's never done that before. I guess because, I don't know, she's weird. Ever since she had those cats, she's been wanting, she's always hungry. We have to feed her at least 2 to 3 times a day. Anyways, so, with a guy like Jimmy Havoc, he's obviously a guy that needs help. That's why you need to cut ties with him. This is not a guy, this is going to sound kind of insensitive, pushing the physical abuse to the side, with his girl. he's still someone who's very mentally fragile. He's still someone that needs help. This is not a guy you need in your company. And now you add, the physical abuse to him. It really, again, it's really hurting the company. Not to sound like a mark, but that might play into why the ratings are bad. Maybe people are seeing this and going, what the fuck are they doing up there? What kind of talent do they have there? You know what I mean? So, and then another AEW, not alumni, but AEW wrestler that got exposed, Darby Allin. Let me look that up. So this is from Ringside News. Darby Allin accused of manipulation and abuse in past relationship. So indie wrestler Donica Della Rouge posted an account of Darby Allin's alleged history of emotional mental abuse. She stated that he has traumatized the victim, which has caused them to question every single second they live their life now. It is alleged that Allin held things over people's heads to gain power over them. He also denied them to express their own feelings, thoughts, and decision-making for themselves, the allegations continue to say. When you pressure your girlfriend with ultimatums, you're controlling her. When you try to control her like that, you begin to objectify her. Then it became easy for you to treat her like she was something less than human. And then you decided you didn't need her consent any longer to do whatever it was you wanted to do to her. And you know exactly what I meant. Let's see. As of this writing, Darby Allin nor AEW responding to these allegations. I know there's another story that came out. There was another story that came out about somebody else that came forward. Let's see. I can't find the story, but listen, anyone that listens to the show, I've always voiced my opinion about Darby Allin. I've never been a fan of his. I just always thought he came off as very pompous and cocky and just very full of himself. He thinks, his own shit doesn't stink. He basically just comes off as someone who thinks he's too good to be a wrestler. Like he's too good to be a fan. At the same token, I don't wish any ill will on anyone. I know it seems like it comes across as I do, but I really don't. Even if I don't like you, at the same time, I don't want to see your life fall apart. I don't want to see anything bad happen to you. I take no pleasure in seeing a lot of these people kind of lose their lives, lose their livelihood, lose their jobs, lose their careers. At the same token, it weeds out a lot of these bad people. It shines a light on them. It exposes who they really are. It gets them out of this business. To make it, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess to make it fun again, to make it enjoyable. Get rid of the ugly. Make the business pretty again. So same thing with Joey Ryan, another guy I was never a fan of, but for him, he's already lost his job. TNA already got, not TNA, Impact Wrestling got rid of him. Impact Wrestling, bully for them for getting rid of him, for firing him. They fired him. They fired another guy who I forget the name of. They suspended Michael Elgin, which it looks like they will more than likely fire him once they find something. Probably I don't want to say sad because they're all sad and they're all just terrible. You got Marty Scurll over in Ring of Honor, is also the booker. He had sex with an underage girl who was 16, and he was 26 at the time. And supposedly the law over in London, England, or whatever you want to call it, the age of consent is 16, which it still doesn't matter. To me, it still doesn't matter, and that's how he tried to defend it, which was, she was 16, so it was legal over here in our country. Mish, got to give up to Mish. Mish could have easily just really went hard at this dude. And he just called him a piece of trash, basically. He said, a lot of blue-collar guys like himself easily just want to say, go fuck yourself. But he wanted to just really just be poignant, just be deeper about it. Just exposing this guy for the piece of trash he is. I mean, if you read the letter from this, if you read this girl talk about her experience, it's heartbreaking because, she says she was crying the whole time, not because of what was happening, but she didn't know if she was doing it right. She was saying about Virgin, I don't know if I'm doing it right. Because in her head, she was manipulated by this guy. She wanted to please him. She wanted to please her favorite wrestler. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking for a lot of these girls. These women that are coming forward and just being brave enough to just come out and say what really happened. Because it's never easy. It's not easy for anyone, whether you're male or female, to come out and say, hey, this happened to me. I think another example, you got Keith Lee. Keith Lee had a situation that happened to him a while back. Posted on his Twitter. He said he went to a bar and he met up with either he met up with a female or she met up with him, and one thing led to another. He bought her a drink. It's suggested that maybe she put something in his drink. Either he had too much to drink or she put something in his drink, because he says he doesn't remember anything else after that. He just remembers going up to the stage. I guess they were doing karaoke. And then he wakes up in his room, in his bedroom, with no pants on. So whoever this girl was, she took advantage of him. It sounds like she spiked his drink and then took advantage of him. Again, guys can take advantage too. I say it's hard for anyone to come out with the truth. For a guy, it's hard because, as guys, it almost sounds like it's comical whenever something happens to us, if we're getting sexually harassed. Because, for us, if a woman's sexually harassing us, it's like, oh, you won it. It's like, come on, she's hot, who cares? It's like, no. Like, nobody should ever touch you without you wanting it. Nobody has the right to touch you, to put their hands on you. You have the right to say no. So for a guy like Keith Lee, I imagine that was tough for him because, Keith Lee, if you've never met him, if you've never seen him, he's a big guy. He's a big guy that looks like he can take care of himself. So for him to do that really took a lot of guts, and, just the woman he's dating, they seem like they could, I don't want to say share stories, that sounds kind of mean, but, Mayim, her story about abuse, she dated a wrestler in Impact Wrestling that was abusing her. That at first it seemed like he was trying wrestling moves on her, which he actually did, but then it got to the point where he was being a little too rough and he was straight up abusing her. So eventually she got out of that relationship and now she's with Keith. She's with a good dude, Keith Lee. And Keith Lee really is a good dude. So it's tough. It's tough, and I commend anyone that has, the guts, the bravery to come out and say, hey, this happened to me. It's not easy, but it happened to me. And I just want to get my story out there. Possibly the only one that I'm just having a hard time wrapping around in my head to really believe any ill will against this guy. Not just because I like him, but you got Matt Riddle, who literally the day after all this was starting, he was getting allegations against him. A wrestler, I believe her name is Candy Cartwright. She accused him of rape. She said they were driving in a car and he forced her to give him oral. Like, she, in her words, she said, he grabbed her by the throat and said, what if I made you do it? What if I forced you to? And she ends up giving him oral against her own will. Matt Riddle fired back, where apparently even before he got signed to the company, he let WWE know in advance, hey, there's a situation going on, and there's a restraining order. It's a legal issue. This woman's stalking me. She's stalking me and my family. This girl's friend had came out and defended her, saying, she's not a stalker. You two were actually dating while you were married. You're a narcissist. It's just, I know, I don't want to sound like I'm being contradicting, but it's just, Matt Riddle's the only one I don't believe, because you see him and his family, he seems like a good father. And it's not just a thing where it's just like, oh, the mom's the only good one. No, he seems like he's a dedicated father and husband. He genuinely seems like he loves his kids, that he loves being married, loves having a family. His wife's taken up for him, which I heard his wife is, a good person. Like, she's a sweetheart. I have a hard time believing that, or even, like, trying to believe it. So that's the one I hope nothing bad comes out. That's one I hope where it's just a situation of, like, oh, this girl is a stalker. So, and then you got Velveteen Dream, which is heartbreaking, because another guy I was a fan of, who I thought would be, in the company for a very long time, would be, a successful wrestler who would, go to the main roster and be a champion, be a main eventer. And now you got more allegations coming out about him talking to kids. This was a situation, I believe, like a month and a half ago, where he apparently was sending dick pics to kids. So, I don't know if it was girls or boys. It probably doesn't matter at this point, but he was sending pictures of his dick. He was asking them what school they go to. He was asking for pictures without their shirts, without their clothes, and that kind of went away because he addressed it, and it was a situation where it was like this kid created a fake account. And that just kind of went away for a bit. Now it's coming back, where more kids are stepping forward. And now it's become a legal issue, and Velveteen Dream wasn't even on the show last night. He was on the show he was on the show the week before. And this week he wasn't on, so it's become a legal issue. It looks like it's already going to court. It would be unfortunate, for a guy like Dream, where I don't know how old he is. I don't even think he's 30 yet. He might even be like mid-20s. This is a guy who, he was on Tough Enough. He was the only guy that liked wrestling. He was the only guy on Tough Enough that actually liked wrestling. And the story, he ended up getting kicked off, and it actually pissed a lot of people off. Eventually, he ended up getting a contract, and which is weird because the winner of that Tough Enough didn't even do anything. I think they ended up getting fired. So he was the only guy that actually did something. I think Liv Morgan was on the show. Not Liv Morgan. Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville were on the show. Which, that's neither here nor there. I listened to Kev Castle's show, his Castle Chronicles. He suggested a lot of these wrestlers, it seems like they need handlers. They need people to just make sure they don't fuck up. I wholeheartedly agree. Especially someone like Dream, who I don't know how he is in person. It really seems like he lives the gimmick. It seems like he lives the gimmick a little bit too much. To where he doesn't know how to handle himself on social media. So he needs not just an agent, he needs somebody to say, this person is underage, this person's 15. Stop fucking talking to them. If they want to say, hey, you're my favorite wrestler, and I just bought your merchandise, cool. Give them a thumbs up, say, cool, thanks for being a fan. Don't ask them for personal information. Don't even ask them for their name. Just say, hey, I'm glad you're a fan, appreciate it. Maybe I can get you free tickets to the next show. But just other than that, no. Because, don't get it twisted. I'm pretty sure Roman Reigns gets messages from girls saying, hey, I think you're cute, you're my favorite wrestler. And he's like, oh, thanks, that's cool, how old are you? I'm 16, bye! Or maybe Roman Reigns looks at her Instagram and realizes, yeah, this bitch is probably underage. I probably shouldn't say, I'm not going to say bitch. Retract that from this, retract that, I'm sorry. But it's probably like, yeah, this girl seems like she's underage. I'm not going to mess with her. Bye. Same thing with like someone like Finn Balor or Seth Rollins. It's like, yeah, I'm not dumb enough to fuck with this. So, but it seems like a lot of these guys need handlers. These guys need to just stop fucking up and shut the fuck up. Like, it almost seems like these guys need people to handle their social media accounts. Like, Velveteen Dream needs somebody to handle a social media account. Because at the end of the day, if he's living the gimmick, why does he need to be on social media? He should have somebody just handling his social media and saying, you know, the Dream appreciates that. The Dream appreciates that you're my number one fan. Keep watching. You should not have this fucker on social media. Again, I'm not saying it's true. I'm not saying what he did is true. Hopefully it comes out that it's a scheme or something. But if he gets convicted, he's done. And by he's done, he will be blackballed. No wrestling company will ever want to hire him. He will. I don't even think he'll go to Impact. Impact is in on this. Impact is in on, you know, we're getting rid of the scum in our locker room. If we find out you're fucking up, you find out you did something stupid, you're gone. We're giving the axe. I mean, no more of the days of having Jeff Hardy, you know, coming out, you know, pilled up in your main event and just allowing him to work. Which, I'm not trying to compare one to the other, but it's like, you get where I'm going. If you fuck up, you're gone. Like, bye. And good for them, good for Ring of Honor. Good for WWE, which, you know, they're really cracking down. They got rid of Jack Gallagher, who, his situation, I'm not sure. Because the situation with him was that he had a girl spend the night at his house, and the girl woke up and found a used condom next to him that still had semen in it. You know, and supposedly it came out that she didn't even have any alcohol in her system. No alcohol, no drugs, no nothing. And she's, you know, saying rape. The story according to Jack Gallagher was that he wanted to do something to her, but he couldn't. So he just decided to jerk off in a condom and threw it away in the trash can, which you probably should have just thrown it outside in your trash can outside. But again, neither here nor there. But with him, it sounds like they probably should have investigated a little bit more. Yeah, that's still kind of creepy that you decided to jerk off in a condom. But I don't know. But what he did, it doesn't sound like he did anything bad. But then again, there might be details that I don't know about that we don't know about. So, kind of switching gears, the whole Jim Cornette situation. His is a little bit different. So, it came out that Jim Cornette and his wife Stacy were basically telling wrestlers in OVW, probably Ring of Honor and Impact Wrestling, I believe, that if you want to get on the card, if you want to do A, B, C, and D, then you got to sleep with us. Or not sleep with us, but, you know, telling the male wrestlers, you know, you got to sleep with my wife. He would either join or just watch, which the thought of Jim Cornette watching with his tennis racket, it's gross. He was accused of that. Kenny Bolin, who a lot of people don't know, Star Maker Kenny Bolin, he was kind of the originator of OVW. In his words, he was actually there in OVW before Jim Cornette decided to join. Kenny Bolin has known Jim Cornette since they were kids. Like, he actually knows his mom. He knows his mom. He knows his family. There's a lot of things about Jim Cornette that Kenny Bolin knows, and he actually exposed on his show twice. So Kenny Bolin on a show with his son Chris, on their show The Bowling Alley, which, you know, you can find on iTunes. I found it on Spotify, just letting anyone know. They had talked about the situation where Kenny Bolin actually knew about the situation, And when he was asked, why didn't you, say anything, but he kind of said it wasn't really my story to tell. Which he talked about stories about Big Show apparently banging Stacy. There's a situation where Stacy had offered to blow Kevin Nash at a restaurant, which just how I've seen Kevin Nash in interviews, I can already picture him just going, nah, that's a no from me. So apparently she was after specific types. She only wanted the big burly, hairy chested, facial hair men. She, didn't fuck guys like Kenny Omega, which would have been ironic. They compared the relationship between him and Vince Russo. Kenny Bolin says, Vince Russo's a good man. Cornette would chastise Russo for only being with one woman his whole life, which is his wife. So, which was pretty odd. Chris, it's weird because Chris is actually the godson of Jim Cornette, which is really odd. It's just odd. It's insane. He tells stories about Jim Cornette. He exposes him for a lot of racist things he said. People asked him, is Jim Cornette racist? He's like, well, we'll probably be here all night if I had to tell those stories. Apparently Jim Cornette doesn't like Muslim people. He told them that they're, they smell, they shouldn't be in my country, blah, blah, blah. On the most recent episode he did with Rico Constantino, he told more racist stories about how Chris had a crush on a black girl when he was in 8th grade. Kenny told Jim, and Jim had, paraphrasing here, it said, those are the kind of girls you want to fuck in a hotel and not bring shame to your family. There's another story about Chris wearing a Booker T-shirt, and Jim Cornette told him, you won the genetic lottery, dress like a white man for God's sakes. Which that doesn't surprise me. They're not too sure, and they mentioned they're not too sure where he got his racism from because he definitely didn't get it from his mom. See, they had Rico on. Rico was a pretty good listen because Rico was according to him, he was actually the first person that OVW signed. He was the first wrestler that OVW signed. He actually helped get Cena over. He helped Cena learn the business. He helped him, learn more from the crowd. He talked about Jim. He knowingly, I guess he basically exposed him and said, yeah, a lot of this was true. At the same time, complimenting Jimmy because he said Jim actually went to bat for him to be on the main roster. Said don't fire this guy's got it. And he credited Jim for his career, but at the same time he exposed him for being who he is. Kenny Bolin got high 1 minute, basically calling Jim out, calling him a piece of shit. Rico had a health scare, had a health situation a while back, and he actually had a PayPal donation thing. GoFundMe, there you go. Which I believe Kevin Castle donated to it, because Kevin Castle says he talks to him, I believe. And now Rico's in good health. According to Chris, he actually looks like the Rico from 2002. Which is interesting. So Rico comes off very likable in this interview. Kenny Bolin just pretty much tells Jim Cornette, if I ever see you, I'll beat the shit out of you because you only act tough whenever you have something, whenever you have like a baseball bat or a gun. I can beat the shit out of you, and I know where you live. He called out Brian Last, saying that Brian Last is chicken shit, and then Brian Last was actually talking about him. But as soon as he found out that Kenny and Chris know where he lives, Brian Last just stopped talking. They haven't talked about this yet, Jim Cornette. Because they did the show on, Friday? I forget what day, but they did a show, actually it was Monday, there you go. It was Monday, which, it was actually Andrew Monahan that actually, brought it to my attention. It's possible that they were already recording while Kenny was doing his show, so maybe they didn't hear it. But I imagine they're going to do a show about it. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, because according to Kenny, if Jim even says one more thing, if Jim even mentions him, he's gonna go to his house and beat the shit out of him. So, Jim on his show, I listened to that show. It gave me a headache. And I like Jim, but sometimes Jim can be too much. Jim basically admitted that he's a swinger. That him and his wife are swingers. That he just said, I'm being accused of having a very interesting sex life. Admitting that him and his wife like to have fun. Of course, he denied the allegations. Just basically, he opened the show not being very serious. I imagine him being a little bit more serious. He opened the show not being as serious. He basically just said, "I'm not taking any of this shit seriously. I don't give a fuck. Like I'm a swinger. What do you want?" Saying I never accused anyone. I never told anyone to sleep with me or sleep with my wife. I never slept with anybody under the age. He was just very all over the place in his interview. It's to the point where, as soon as he started his whole outlaw mud show shtick, I realized, it's going to be that kind of show. And it got too much. I couldn't even finish it. It kind of gave me a headache. I thought this would be bad for Jim, but it doesn't really look like it's going against his. It almost seems like it's going in his favor because you have his fans, you have Jim's fans. Kenny Bolin seems like he's having it almost seems like nobody's listening to Kenny too much. It seems like more people are listening to Jim rather than they are listening to Kenny because I think more people know who Jim Cornette is over Kenny. Rico, again, seems like a stand-up guy. Doesn't seem like he would really, lie about anything to his benefit. He's a guy who's not even in the business anymore. As a matter of fact, at the end of the episode, he said he was actually filling out his application to be a cop again. To kind of be, a volunteer policeman, to help out with the whole COVID thing. So I don't see Rico as a guy that would lie. And I don't see Kenny as a guy that would lie. Or his son. Mainly Rico. So again, I'll side with Rico. I don't know. I don't know what to make of all this because even the stuff that they were describing about Jim, it's damning, but he doesn't seem like someone who could be canceled. He might lose some viewers. He'll get a lot of people saying a lot of flack about him. There might even be more stories that we don't know. There might be more people that are going to come out and say, Jim Cornette did this to me. Jim Cornette made me do this against my own will. He threatened my career. He threatened to blackball me, blah, blah, blah. So, again, we don't know. There's always going to be more and more stories. There might even be a story breaking as we speak. So, at the moment, it looks like Jim doesn't really care. Like, he's not really taking any of this seriously. And that's another thing that kind of bothers me, because usually when anything happens to anyone, when anyone's accused of anything, like abusing somebody or saying A, B, C, and D, they're always on the serious front. They're always on the front of, hey, I didn't do any of this. I didn't mean to offend anyone, blah, blah, blah. But it seems like Jim Cornette just doesn't take anything seriously. I think the last time he ever did take anything seriously was his whole rant about Muslims. And that was actually the last time he had that girl Alice on his show, Alice Ridley. He went on a rant about Muslims, and it might have been podcast 1 that told him something, because he put out a statement saying, I didn't mean to say what I said, blah, blah, blah. And that was actually the last time Alice was on the show, to my recollection. So, Jim Cornette just being very arrogant and not taking any of this seriously, it kind of does speak volumes. Because it almost seems like, I don't know. Maybe Jim Cornette just knows how to handle, serious situations better. So I don't know. Jim Cornette's a different cat. He handles situations a lot differently. I don't know if he's handling it better or worse. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. So yeah, there's that. And then, switching topics, I guess this could be the final topic of the show, is a lot of wrestlers, a lot of talent with the company, with the WWE, have actually tested positive for COVID. Let's pull up a list. So, Sports Illustrated. According to Pro Wrestling Sheet, or Sports Illustrated. But this is on Sports Illustrated, that's according to Pro Wrestling Sheet. Renee Young actually tested positive for COVID. Earlier in the day, Jon Moxley had stated that he wasn't going to be on the show, or AEW stated he wasn't going to be on the show because he was actually around somebody with COVID. Turns out to be his wife, Renee Young, who put it on Twitter, first my show gets canceled, backstage. Now I have COVID. It's unfortunate because it's very unfortunate for Renee because it's unfortunate for anyone who gets COVID. I'll just put it that way. It's unfortunate for someone like Renee, who's a very important figure in the company, who's just, it almost seems like anytime they have a special anything, they always send her out to interview anyone. I mean, they gave her own show. Because when you look at, she was the host of the show. CM Punk was the guest host. CM Punk was the one they wanted to see, but Renee Young was the host of the show. That was her show. And now she has COVID, which, again, we're hoping for the best. We're hoping for a speedy recovery. Hopefully nothing happens to John. Or hopefully nothing happens to Moxley. Hopefully he's okay. So speedy recovery to Renee. Hopefully she's back from this thing sooner than later. Apparently there are 24. The wrestlers, the talent that actually contacted it was in the 24 range. WWE is doing tapings of Raw and NXT on June 16th. SmackDown was also slated to resume taping, but it was delayed until June 26th. After production did not run as scheduled, Fightful reports that friends and family were supposed to be part of the NXT tapings, or next tapings. But that is no longer happening. An individual previously tested positive at the WWE Performance Center on June 9th as a member of the audience. The person has not returned to the center following the positive test. I remember that. Positive COVID-19 tests have skyrocketed in Florida as of late. There were 5,500 new confirmed cases of coronavirus on Wednesday. This is just not good. It's not good for the WWE. It's not good for wrestling. It looked like we were going back to slowly building things back to normal, going back to normalcy. And people are just being dumb. People are being dumb. They're not wearing their masks. Social distancing. They're not putting on hand sanitizer. They're not wearing gloves. Which I don't wear gloves. I just can't. I can't do it with the gloves. But people are they're forgetting. Even if this is slowing down, still do what they told. Still do social distancing. Still do 6 feet. Still do masks. I still wear my mask in public. Wherever I go, I still wear my mask. I still do 6 feet apart. For WWE, this really should tell them something. This should be a sign. This should be just stop. No more wrestling. No more production. No more shows. Take a break. No WWE for a month. No more wrestling for a month. Take a break. Let everyone go home and do their thing. Go home and write the show. Just send everyone home. And the fact that you don't have talent out there wearing masks is dumb. It's dumb and it's reckless. I haven't listened to the show yet, but the title of the episode with John and Brian is that wrestling is canceled, and not just for speaking out. This as well. This sickness that's getting a lot worse. WWE really should consider just taking a break, taking a month off. Why does Vince not see this and go, I should give these guys a month off, they've been working hard. Let them go home to their families. We've been saying this ad nauseum. WWE has access to so much shit. They have access to so much wrestling in the past. They could easily, on Monday Night Raw, saying, you know, there's not going to be a Monday Night Raw, so in its place we're going to play Monday Night Raw from June 1999. You know, we're going to play Starrcade 97. And we're going to have fill in the blank. We're going to have fill in the blank talk about their favorite match. We're going to have Hulk Hogan Skype with Corey Graves and talk about, you know, his match with Sting at Starrcade. Well, let me tell you something, brother. My match with Sting, brother. You know, they could easily do that. Or since the Undertaker's retiring, which we'll talk about the Undertaker in a bit. You know, have it be an Undertaker week. Have, you know, Monday Night Raw just show the best matches that Undertaker's ever had. Have NXT do the same shit. Have SmackDown show the Undertaker's greatest SmackDown moments. You know, since the Undertaker was a part of SmackDown his whole career. Why not do that? Why is that so hard? I just don't get it. You know, AEW, I would say all wrestling companies should just stop doing wrestling at the moment. Take some time off. I think it's easier for WWE to do that because they're this big conglomerate. For a company like AEW, which is starting up, it's not easy for them to say, "Hey, we're just going to cancel." And in its place, we're going to show All In. We're going to show All Out. We're going to show Cody's greatest matches, which, you know, they obviously can't show WWE, but I don't know. Do something. Be creative. You know, it's tough. It's tough for wrestling. It's not easy just to say, you know, stop doing what you're doing, because people still need to get paid. People have families. But do you really want to put people's lives at risk to film in front of an empty arena? Or not even an empty arena. At this point, you still got fans, but in front of an arena of people that are pretending to be fans. It's rough. And everything sucks. Everything sucks at this moment. So, I said we were going to close out this. I forgot to talk about this. Undertaker, on the Last Ride documentary in the last episode, confirming his retirement from WWE. You know, basically stating, I have no desire to get back in the ring. You know, this cowboy's going to ride in the sunset for good. So, WWE acknowledging it on their show, their website, you know, wrestlers everywhere, WWE, NXT, even AEW, saying thank you, Taker. At this point, I mean, did The Undertaker want to retire before the whole COVID thing happened? Because a lot of the documentary, and I have yet to watch the 5th episode, which I will. You know, a lot of the documentary was basically saying, when is he going to leave? Am I going to retire? Am I going to retire? Am I going to leave? When am I going to leave? And his match with AJ just being his last match, which it wasn't really a match, it was a segment, but it was still an entertaining. When you look at it, it was the main event of, you know, the first night of WrestleMania. And, you know, what better opponent to have than AJ Styles. If COVID didn't happen, would that have been his last match? Would he have come out the night after Mania and said, I'm done? You know, this outlaw is riding off into the sunset. Was he already planning on doing it? It's just odd that The Undertaker would announce his retirement on a documentary. On a pre-recorded documentary and not on Raw, not on SmackDown. Not coming out to the ring and saying, you know, I'm done taking souls. It's just odd. But here's one thing I think comes into effect. Mark Calloway as a person, he's looking at the current landscape of wrestling and realizes it's not going to go back to the way I want it to be. it looks like this is going to be the new norm for a while. So why am I going to go out there and beat myself up at the age of 55? So I believe that might come into play because this might be like this from what I heard for 2 years. 2 to 3 years. Which is going to be fucking miserable. So, as far as The Undertaker wrestling, I think he's done, which is good. I'm kind of glad he's done. He should have retired a long time ago. He should have retired after Brock beat him. In all actuality. He should have really retired after Roman beat him because, if you remember, he put his jacket and his hat down, which indicated that he was done. But just he kind of subtly admits it was an ego thing. It was an ego thing. It was also a thing to please Vince. Because he would come back to do something cool, then he would come back again and he would fuck up, and then it became an ego thing of, well, I don't want people's lasting memory of me to be, that I fucked up, that I botched. And now, the lasting memory people have of him is the American Badass just beating the shit out of AJ Styles, putting him in a grave. Which is not a bad image, because at the end of the match he rides away into the sunset. Which, the match is at night, so he rides away into the night on his motorcycle. But didn't he sign a 15-year contract with WWE? So I don't know. I think as far as a wrestler goes, he's done, but he's still gonna work with the company in some aspect. He'll probably come back to be a trainer. Well, maybe not train, but come back to be a coach. Talk to the trainees. Maybe have Vince be like, this is our new, this is Karrion Kross. This is our new guy. We want you to evaluate. We want you to talk to him. So, which would be interesting. It'd be interesting if Undertaker gave advice to Karrion Kross. If Undertaker was like, you can use my tombstone. That'd be interesting if Karrion Kross was using the tombstone and says, Undertaker said I could use it. That'd be interesting. But yeah, Undertaker. It's weird. I feel like I'm in the minority of people that actually did like the American Badass gimmick. Not to say I didn't like the Dead Man gimmick, but I like the American Badass gimmick. I don't know why. I guess because I grew up with that a little more. I started watching wrestling in '97. So roughly around that time, Taker was, slowly morphing into the Lord of Darkness gimmick, which I thought was pretty rad. He apparently hated it, but I loved it. And then he came back as the American Badass, which I thought was cool, because you had to see Taker be a little bit more animated, talk a little bit more. And then eventually came back as the Dead Man, which, again, loved it. My favorite Taker moment... there's too many. Whenever he returned as the American Badass at Judgment Day in '99, during The Rock and Triple H's match. His match with Kurt Angle at No Way Out in 2006, that's classic. That's a match I honestly, thinking about it, I want to go watch it again. His match with Batista at Mania. Him in the Royal Rumble 2007, it came down to him and Shawn Michaels, which... I watched that match, even to this day when I watch it, I still get hyped. Because I remember watching it as a kid and just getting really hyped because I obviously wanted Shawn Michaels to win because he's the hometown kid and it was in San Antonio. And then Taker ends up eliminating him, which I'm just like, ugh. I was mad, not because Taker won, because I love Taker, but it's just like, come on, that match was emotional for everyone because I got a little choked up. I'll admit, I got a little choked up because I was like, come on, Shawn. It's a lot of Taker moments. That was interesting Taker moments. Whenever he returned as the Dead Man at Madison Square Garden against Kane, he brought back Paul Bearer. So there's a lot of good Taker moments. His match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25, to me, it's right up there with Bret and Austin at WrestleMania 13 as the greatest matches of all time. it's weird because I look at my top 5 greatest matches in my opinion. I have 2 Undertaker matches, and yeah, so those are my favorite take. That's my Undertaker opinion in a nutshell. Greatest gimmick of all time. One of the greats, truly. Will be a Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about that. Definitely has lace in the company. There's no doubt about it. He'll stick around the company as a figure. Like he'll return for something. Like he'll make an appearance for something. So I don't know. He might even have his own podcast. Because listening to Taker in his documentary, I found him. Him as just Mark Calloway. When he's just Mark Calloway talking, I find him very interesting because he just seems like a down to earth Southern boy, good old Texas boy. I found him to be very interesting. He seems like he has some interesting stories. So. Yeah, but that's basically the show tonight. I don't know if I'll be back live next week. It depends on what I'm doing the day. I don't like canceling shows. It's one of those things where if I don't really have time, or if there's something I'm doing during the day or at night, that's when I have to cancel. Or if I just don't really have anything to talk about. But I didn't want to cancel, but at the same time, I just felt like I had to do a show. I had to do a show for you guys. I didn't just want to cancel. So, yeah, where's my charger? There's like a billion chargers here. Yeah, I will edit and upload the show ASAP. I just said I was going to upload it. I'll edit the show, and then I will upload it as soon as I can. So, shout outs to Wrestling Soup, shout outs to John Draper and Mish and Joey, DTKC, Don Tony and Kevin Castle, shout out to Trez. Make sure to go to Wrestling Soup and DTKC's Patreon for just $5. $5 each, you get all kinds of cool shit. Shout out to Brian J. He has his 2 podcasts, Wrestling Reanimated and Horror Reanimated. He just did an episode on Wrestling Reanimated with John Draper, which I'm about to listen to after I get off this. You got False Count Radio with Andrew Carlick. Let's see. You got Texas Podcast Massacre. If you're a fan of horror movies, listen to that. You got the Wrestling Court with Julian and Rob. You got... Who am I missing? You got Ruben Prime TV with Ruben Prime. There's... let's see. I'm forgetting other names. If I'm forgetting other names, please forgive me. There's just so many podcasts to listen to. But yeah, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Drew Yari Show. Like I said, I'm currently streaming Last of Us Part 2 on YouTube, so if you're interested, look for that. You can also listen to my show on YouTube. And that's really about it. Thank you guys for listening. I'll be back next week. I'll let you know if I'm going to be live or not. And honestly, I'll be honest, these pre-recorded shows might be more common, just because. But anyways, take care, guys, and drive safe, and peace out.